According to a survey in a country, 37% of adults do not have credit cards. Suppose a simple random sample of 500 adults is obtained. In a random sample of 500 adults, what is the probability that less than 34% have no credit cards? So we have 37% as our P and 500 as our lowercase n. And we want to know less than 34%. So again, we need to check our conditions. So n times p times 1 minus p here. So n is 500, open parenthesis, 0.37, close parenthesis, open parenthesis, 1 minus 0.37, close parenthesis, enter, and we get 116.55, and that's greater than 10, so one of our conditions are met for normality. And then we want to check that our sample values are independent, right? And so if we look at this here, 500 and less than or equal to 5% of capital N, if we divide here by 5%, so 500 divided by 0.05, we get that 500 is 5% of 10,000. If we're talking about a country, assume that, we're looking at more than that. So that condition is also met. So now we're going to look at our mean and our standard deviation. So our mean here, so mu sub p hat is just p, which is 0.37. So the mean we're going to use here on StatCrunch is 0.37, and our standard deviation is the square root of p times 1 minus p divided by n. So this is square root of all this, so the square root of 0.37 times 1 minus 0.37 divided by lowercase n, which is 500. So 0.37 times 1 minus 0.37, we get 0.2331 divided by 500. And let's see what that gives us. So the scientific notation, so I'm just going to leave it in that form. I'm going to take the square root of that value. So we can get an approximate mean here. So approximate standard deviation. So our standard deviation here for StatCrunch, we're going to use the square root of 0.2331 divided by 500. Right? We're looking at the probability that p hat is less than 0.34. That's what we're trying to find. So our mean here is 0.37, and our standard deviation here is the square root of 0.2331 divided by 500. And we're looking at the probability that p hat is less than 0.34. So for StatCrunch, we're going to use the probability that x is less than or equal to 0.34. So I'm going to hit compute here. So we have that this is 0.0824. That's our answer. Right? And so now we want to know, would it be unusual if in a random sample of 500, so we're still working on the same sample size, 205 or more having no credit cards. So we're looking at the probability that x is greater than or equal to 205. So again, we need to convert this to a p hat statement. So we're looking at the probability that p hat is greater than or equal to 205 over 500. And that's what we're trying to find here. So we have the same mean as before. And our standard deviation is the same as before, since we're working with the same sample size here. Right, and our statement here is going to be that x is greater than or equal to 205 divided by 500. So we're going to change our statement. This is going to be greater than or equal to, everything else stays the same, 205 divided by 500. So we get 0.0320, and that would be unusual since our probability here is less than 0.05.